Bada bing, bada boom, the investigation and who killed Big Ralphie is underway. Welcome back to the Soprano reviews here on Fog Entertainment. It is the strong silent type. Is that pie oh my? Was it a strong silent type of a horse galloping? Well, it probably didn't go out quiet. It was probably neighing in agony when Ralph lit the match, but Tony dealt with Ralph. Ralph was crying in agony when he got chucked out on the floor. And let's talk about this episode because the group, the crew, they're all wanting to know what happened to Ralph. And even though, right, Tony and Ralph were in pretty good, condition with each other, relationships were mended since the whole Tracy incident, why do like half the crew think Tony's automatically did it here when Christopher's the only guy that knows he did?
Yeah, it's like everyone's pointed fingers at Tony. Tony's the number one suspect. Was he the last one to see Ralph last? Not entirely sure. But, I mean, if we were going to look, there's multiple people in the crew that did not like Ralph and that would want Ralph to disappear.
But overall, guys, right, let's just wrap up the suspect list. Why would Tony be on it? There's no reason for Tony to kill Ralph, but the group think he did. I think Polly should be the number one suspect, right? Even though Chris did give him an alibi. Hey, Tony, he was in ruckus. It couldn't have been him. Well, you know what? Polly had motive. He thought Ralph phoned his mum. He was correct in that, right? You say that Johnny Sack is also another suspect, but guess what, folks? He's not a part of New Jersey or North Jersey.
They're all connected.
Yeah, but he's in New York.
Doesn't matter shit. He could have still killed him.
Right. Tony tries to pin it on Johnny Sack, which I think is probably the correct decision to do, even though it does risk a war with New York. That, I mean, realistically, why would you want that? But at the end of the day, you've got Silvio talking with Patsy and Ali Boy Peresi, and he's like, off the record, if Tony did this, what's stopping him from doing it to one of us? When Silvio knows, Paulie literally said in the previous episode, if I find out it was fucking him, I'm killing him. Did he or did he not say that in front of everybody?
Aye, but Paulie doesn't get to make the decisions who's killing who. Tony's the one that kills people.
Yeah, but hold on. But they're all worried that Tony's willing to kill people, even though Paulie's said, I will kill him, I don't give a shit what Tony says.
So they should be worried about Paulie?
Not they should be worried about Paulie, but Paulie's the guy with motive. Why would Tony kill Ralph? Why would not, only Tony and Ralph knew about Pyomai and the fire. Only Tony knew that Ralph's the one that did it, even though it's still up for debate. And if you want to debate it some more, debate it in the comment section. But the reality is, you've got this guy, Tony the mob boss, and if they honestly think Tony killed Ralph, why are they pussyfooting around it? Just fucking confront the guy. See Silvio instead of thinking, well, you know what, guys?
That's a pretty big accusation,
Silvio's his consulary, right? He could go to Tony, here, I need to know if you killed Ralph. I didn't like the guy, and if you did, I'm not going to out you, but, I'd like a bit of transparency here. Is that going to get Silvio killed?
I don't think you can accuse someone like that without tangible proof.
You sure?
Yeah, that's a pretty big accusation.
Pretty big accusation, brother. But talking about a pretty big painting arrives. It's a picture of Tony and Pai Oh My, and he starts crying. He actually starts crying. He leaves the bada bing. He goes to his psychiatrist. She's like, it seems to be animals that only make you cry. First it was the ducks. Now it's the horses. You've lost your mother. You've lost family. You've lost friends. And you didn't give a shit. But the ducks. The horses. Then he starts crying some more. And it's like, Tony's supposed to be the top man here. I'm not saying you can't lose a pet, right? But I think losing a racehorse is different to the family dog. Would you agree with that?
The racehorse is more like a profit, isn't it? It's like a financial...
Yeah, way of making money.
I mean, it's kind of like, buying stakes in something or taking shares and then you have a bad day financially.
Paulie decides to keep this picture, by the way. He puts it in his house and he's now changed Tony into a Napoleon sort of attire. And he keeps looking back at the painting on the wall. He did it about 10 times this episode. Now, Soprano fanboys would be like, oh, this is David Chase planting the seeds for something 2 seasons down the line. What did you get for this, for Paulie looking at a painting? Filler?
Pretty much, just constantly
looking back at a painting.
Didn't do much for me.
Doesn't achieve anything. Furio's returned from Naples. He's tears in his eyes, and Tony's like, why are you crying? He's like, my father. Right, I'm not buying this as well for Furio, right? Obviously, it's kind of hypocritical for Tony because he's crying over a horse. Can this guy not mourn his father? This is a made guy in the mafia. He's literally returned from Naples. It's been a couple of days since he buried his father. Should this guy really be picking up the boss and crying his fucking eyes out? Is it not a bit weak?
Oh, fuck off. Tony's the one in the wrong here.
No, Tony is the one in the wrong. No, they're both in the wrong. But it's not a bit pathetic.
Oh, aye. Guy's upset he lost his father. That makes him in the wrong.
He's a made man.
Who gives a shit? Tony's got fucking psycho issues. Goes to a psychiatrist. He's a made man. He's the man.
Yeah.
Guy's fucking grating over a horse.
Aye, but Furio's not even...
The guy's killing other made men over horses. So let's cut Furio some slack here.
Nay.
Tony's
Aye,
a
but
sad, pathetic bastard.
Hold on, Furio's not even crying over his father though. He's crying over the fact that he wants to be with Carmela and he's not making a move for it. So who's actually the real pathetic bastard?
Both of them.
Both of them? What is this relationship that Furio and Carmela think they've both got with each other, even though it's like talking over coffee? No, what is it? You could cut the tension with Tony's fucking non-existent mustache. I do not get this, man. Like, is Furio going to act? Is Carmela going to act? Now, obviously, I know what happens, so what's your prediction for this relationship?
Well, I don't think they'll get together, because... Although, you know what? I reckon fucking Furio could probably sleep with Carmela, and I don't think Tony would really care that much. I don't think Tony would give him
What
the
are you crying over? I slept with your wife.
I don't think... get over it. I don't think Tony would kill him, like he did Ralph and Pio, man.
You think so, no?
No.
Then Johnny Sack meet with Tony. This was like the most abrupt meeting ever. Tony has driven all the way to New York for Johnny Sack to say, you want to go down this road, Tony? About the whole, HUD scam that Paulie's obviously filled Johnny Sack in with. And by the way, Paulie, not only is he... I think Paulie is completely jobbed New Jersey out here. And is he ever going to get found out? Probably not. But we go back to the Bada Bing. Tony then calls a meeting. We've got Paulie, Silvio, Fito, Carlo, and other key family members are here. He points out the fact that he thinks Johnny Sack and New York are the ones that killed Ralph. So, again, I think it makes way more sense that New York did kill Ralph.
None of them are memorable. They're just guys that come in for like a scene every 5 episodes.
Well, I mean,
they don't have their own story arc. They don't have nothing.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
They say a few lines in front of Tony, then they fuck off for 10 episodes.
Yeah, but I didn't like the direction of this storyline this episode. I cannot grasp why Tony's own crew actually think he killed Ralph. There's like no motive. If this was after the offence of the Tracy incident, yes. But like, where is the beef between Ralph and Tony this season? It's not like the Pio-Mai beef, like, spiraled out of control into the public eye. Hell, in the last episode, Ralph's just lost his son. And Tony was, like, helping him and, like, hugging him and shit at the hospital. So, I don't know, where does this fucking came from?
Didn't they mention Pio-Mai and the fact that it could have been Ralph?
I don't know, I don't think they did.
I think they did.
Well, why would they suspect Ralph for that?
Because he's a bastard.
Because, see this whole gimmick that Ralph's a bastard, they're all bastards!
Oh, I know, eh?
No, why is this show trying to pretend that they're all these evil, like, Ralph's the only evil fucker? You look at the crew, right? See Bobby, he's like the only genuine nice guy you'll get. And let's talk about another arsehole, Christopher. He's high on the gear. He looks for more gear after beating up Adriana. He gets his car hijacked. She then goes to Carmela. Tony's like, I'm going to batter the fuck out this wee bastard. Then we get probably, in my opinion, one of the better scenes of The Sopranos. We get Christopher's intervention, where they're all burying him. Adriana buries the sex drive. Tony buries the fact that he sat on a dog, and he's like, Jesus Christ, you killed the dog. Silvio points out that he came into the Bada Bing one morning and Chris had his head in the toilet water. Tony backed him up and said, well, you know what, Silvio, he was actually sick that day. Paulie says you're a disgrace to your family and you're weak. Was this criticism all fair on Chris, or was it unjust?
I mean, what they were saying was probably fair, but it's like they're throwing stones in a glass house.
Yeah.
And then Christopher gives them it back and none of them could accept it. Yet they all wanted Chris to just sit there and take this fucking barrel of abuse from multiple people. But then Chris single-handedly dished out some hard truths back to them and none of them could accept it.
Yeah.
And it ended up in a big brawl with everyone beating the shit out of
Like,
Chris.
you look at Chris, right? Yeah, him being a junkie's not been ideal, but what's it actually affected the crew? It's not affected the crew. What's it actually done? Look at Paulie. He's giving key information to New York. And he's actually the first guy to step up and punch. Christopher, but Chris points out, it's like, oh, Polly, what about that wee incident in the Pine Barrens? Of course, that's when they tried to kill the Russian guy, but then he escaped. He then points out to Silvio that he sleeps with every stripper at the Bada Bing. Again, I mean, Tony sleeps around. Did he have the balls to say here that Tony sleeps around in front of Carmela, who was also present in this? Probably not, but then he pointed out to Tony that, yeah, you're talking about dying? You eat like fuck, you're going to die before you're 50. And then that's the final line. Polly steps up, slaps
True, but I feel like he purposely said that about Tony because it's not overly personal. Yeah, it's personal about his weight, but it doesn't really affect his standing. Like, he's talking about Silvio and cheating with his wife, and that's different, you know, that paints Silvio in a negative light. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone can already see that Tony's fat and overweight. Like,
True.
I doubt he would ever say to Tony what he said about Silvio.
Christopher then gets taken to the hospital. I think it was a hairline fracture. Tony says, if this was anyone else, I would have killed you. Strong words there for Tony. So Silvio or Polly or the rest of the gang know if they ever get addicted to drugs, Tony's not going to check them in the rehab, but he's going to put a bullet in them. Which, you know, I think if you're a junkie, it is you are pretty unreliable. But if you're like a loved member of the crew, like you've did like 40 years and you feel like family or you're the consularity, just because
You're not allowed one fuck up.
just because you go off the rails for like a few weeks and you're on drugs, does that automatically mean you should get death? I mean, yeah, if you want to demote them or, you know, give them a fine of, like, here, give me 3.5 points, Tony, or some pish like that, fair enough, but kill him? That was a wee bit extreme. Maybe Tony was probably pointing at the fact that he was airing dirty laundry in a room filled with people who shouldn't really be knowing much about their business. But Tony decides to go one worse than Chris, and he sleeps with an amputee. And will Carmela find out about this? Someone commented it and spoiled it. She does find out about it. And do you think Carmela's finding out that Tony slept with someone who only has one leg could be the final straw in their marriage?
Yeah, for some reason I think she'll take that bad. Like, I mean, obviously she doesn't want him to sleep with anyone, but I think she'll find that insulting that he's even sleeping with women with one leg. Which I guess is discrimination, but yeah. Sopranos seems to do a good job of
Discrimination
it.
against a Russian with one leg. And I mean, Tony's top man, right? And here he is sleeping with some Russian with one leg on his uncle's couch. To me, this entire storyline / scene was just a mess. Then the cleaner or the nurse comes in, and Tony's like in his boxers in his uncle's couch with his shirt unbuttoned, and it's like there was just like the shittest amount of light entering the room. It just does this guy scream mob boss to you or just waster? Waster for me. And then the episode pretty much just ends with Polly looking at the Napoleon picture. I mean, again, I think it was another decent episode. I really enjoyed the Christopher scenes. He's checked in the rehab. The intervention, I thought, is one of the best scenes of the show. But again, should I really be saying that? And a lot of people think that. Should this really be regarded as one of the best scenes of a TV show? Some guy in an intervention program dishing out insults? Probably not. But here, I'm going to give this episode a 7 out of 10.
I'll get an 8.
An 8 out of 10, there you go. 7.5 out of 10, guys, for the strong silent type. Till next time. Peace.